The River Travel Podcast is about travel stories along America's rivers and the road trips that will take you there. Come with us as we chat with festivals, attractions, eateries, and destinations that call River Valleys home. Come for a visit and find out more at rivertravelmagazine.com.
On this episode, we are chatting with Sonia Outlaw-Clark, Director for West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center and Tina Turner Museum, located in Brownsville, Tennessee. So, what are you excited for, when visitors come to the area, or come to your different museums? What are you excited to, kind of share with them?
I think the most exciting part of visitors coming here is that they realize that we're the real deal, that they're experiencing an authentic sample of Southern culture. We get comments all the time about how they like that it's not commercialized, that we're giving the real story of who we are. And of course, I love when people go in the Tina Turner Museum and it just immediately stops them in their tracks and they just freeze for a minute. The West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center opened over 20 years ago. It was a brainchild of a former mayor who thought our proximity to I-40 would make it really important to share our rural culture. So we started as a tourist information center and 3 regional museums, a cotton museum, a music museum, and a Hatchie River museum. We later put the last home of bluesman Sleepy John Estes here. And most recently, in 2012, we moved Flag Grove School from Nutbush, and it is now the Tina Turner Museum. It was her childhood school. So over the years, we've kind of gone from just a tourist information center to a music heritage destination.
So, just looking in the background, people can't see this because it's a podcast, but I can see, you have different events like the Exit 56 Blues Fest in your area. Could you give us a rundown of different events at the museum? Is there ongoing exhibits or?
Sure. We actually have a lot going on here. There's hardly a month that goes by that we don't have an event or there's a special exhibit. Of course, we've been doing a lot virtually lately, but we generally start in January with our Country Blues Jam. We are the home of 3 blues pioneers: Sleepy John Estes, Hammy Nixon, and Yank Rachel. So they were pioneers in the early blues industry, really put country blues on the map for the nation. So we celebrate them in January. Then we jump to April when we do the Hatchie Bird Fest. The scenic Hatchie River is located right here in Brownsville. It is a wild river. It's the last wild river in the lower Mississippi system. It starts in North Mississippi and comes all the way by us in West Tennessee to the Mississippi River. And that gives us a great natural resource. And we have bird watchers from all over. And in late April, we have the Hatchie Bird Fest. That includes a weekend of guided tours on the refuge, which is in the Mississippi Flyway, and that's during spring migration. So we see over 150 different bird species over a weekend. Then in May, on Memorial Day weekend, we have our 2-day Exit 56 Blues Fest. It's by far the center's biggest event, but that event includes 2 days of live music. It includes car shows, arts and crafts, great food, just lots of stuff like that going on. Our community has a music festival in July, and we participate in that, as well as doing a bluegrass jamboree in October. And then our big community festival is called the Hatchie Fall Fest in October. So there's always something going on around here.
So, as yourself, as a local, what are some of your personal favorite activities that you like to do around the area?
I like anything that involves our historic downtown Court Square, whether it's an evening of music on the square or any other events. It just has a special feel being downtown Brownsville, as I'm sure a lot of people say about their small towns. But it's this people and just the atmosphere of being downtown that I really love. And of course, our Fall Fest and our Summer Jam music festivals are favorites. But another big favorite of mine is our annual Christmas parade in December.
So, I mean, I'm sure Tina Turner is the big draw for you guys, correct?
Yes, she is.
Is there anything that's, you know, kind of interesting about her life or anything that you've learned that would be, you know, kind of a surprise for people?
Well, a lot of people might be surprised to know that we are Tina Turner's hometown. Of course, we all knew her as Anna Mae Bullock when she was growing up here in Nutbush. Nutbush is a real place, although it's not a real town. In her song, Nutbush City Limits, she talks about that, but there were never city limits. It's just a small farming community just right here outside of Brownsville. So people are a lot of times surprised to learn that that is not a real town or that she's from Tennessee.
So is there anything special you'd like to just tell us about the Brownsville area that you think might be a surprise to guests coming to the region?
So Brownsville is located just 50 miles east of Memphis. Like I said, we're along the Hatchie River and Hatchie National Wildlife Refuge, which is really prime hunting and fishing territory. So anyone who's looking for outdoor activities such as hunting, fishing, there's great opportunity here. We also, have great hiking and bird watching. We also have something that's been developed real recently is mountain bike trails. We've got about 5 miles of mountain biking trails that are on all levels. It starts from beginner to advanced, and that has really been interesting seeing those trails developed. Something else that people may not realize about Brownsville, Tennessee, we are the heart of West Tennessee, and we're in the heart of the Tennessee Delta, but we're also home to Tennessee's tallest metal sculpture. It's a work in progress by a local artist. It stands over 130 feet tall. It tells essentially his life story in metal. It's really interesting because you don't really know what his life story is. So to be able to walk through it and around it and to interact with the different elements is really fun to develop your own story through it. And it's called the Mind Field. And so that's a really cool place. There's a small museum underneath it that's called the Menagerie Museum. And it's just that. It's filled with just about anything that you can think of. So it's really cool to walk through it as well. We also have great walking tours, historic walking tours, and there are historic markers scattered throughout our community where you can just stroll and look at all the wonderful homes and learn about our great heritage.
So if people want to find out more about the West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center and Tina Turner Museum, what's the best avenue for them to follow along?
So to find out about the Heritage Center and the Tina Turner Museum, they can go online to westtnheritage.com, or they can look us up on Facebook or Instagram.
Experience the Great American Road Trip and take a ride on the nation's scenic byways and backroads that highlight rivers throughout the United States. Explore the people, places, and culture of river towns throughout the U.S. Visit rivertravelmagazine.com. You can subscribe to the River Travel Podcast on your favorite podcast app. If you like us, rate us 5 stars. We appreciate it.